You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Running Wild Podcast. I'm your co-host, Rich. Alongside me, as always, my co-host, Runz.
Yes, sir.
Just want to remind you that we're brought to you in partnership with LastWordOnSports.com, also with PWPPonderings.com, and where you can find us on the Wrestling to the Max Network. All right, with that out of the way, so let's get started. A lot of stuff going on this week. Actually, one of the reasons why we're coming out late this week is because of Ring of Honor. Huge pay-per-view, Best in the World, took place Friday night. They followed up with television tapings for the next 4 weeks, Saturday night, just last night. So we're taping on Sunday morning. If you do not want to be spoiled with Ring of Honor news and you're still planning on watching it, this is a immediate warning that we will be talking about that. All right, so what did you think about Best in the World overall?
I don't know. I don't know why I continue to spend my money on Ring of Honor pay-per-views. Like, I looked at this card, right? And immediately my first reaction was like, oh, well, none of this really matters. Like, there was nothing on the show that made me want to buy the show. Like, the main event is Briscoe and Lethal. They haven't, like, have they been feuding over the past year? I understand that they fought last year at Best in the World, but what big feud have they been involved in to culminate at this pay-per-view? It kind of just came out of nowhere. And for the main event to, in my mind, just be like, hey, we did this last year, so we're going to do it again, that immediately for me was like, yeah, everything else below it now also feels as, as important, which was not much.
Well, all right. So
that has nothing to do with the results of what I watched. That's my
okay. Fair. I've been watching so much Ring of Honor. I feel like my eyes are bleeding. I've been watching a lot of the VOD on the website. So I'm not going to lie to you, after all the Global War stuff, right after that weird pay-per-view they had, after the War of the Worlds tour, I was just waiting for a regular Ring of Honor pay-per-view that was going to develop their storylines. I wanted to see something come out of this, something worthwhile, with some of the major titles, moving forward.
Exactly. I completely agree with you, and that's one of the reasons why I did buy and watch the pay-per-view. Is it was full Ring of Honor guys, and Tamagotchi and
Kamatachi.
Tamagotchi and Jay White are gonna be there. Like they're done being the Young Lions in New Japan, and the tradition is, once you do that, you go learn another style, and then you come back to New Japan. So they're going to be in Ring of Honor. They're going to be around. What? Go ahead.
It's like the Rumspringa for the Amish, right? They live the lifestyle, then they go out somewhere else, and they come back.
I let you go, and then you I have no idea what you're talking about. So
all right.
Anyway,
it's a rite of passage that they take as like young adults before they decide to make sure they want to stay Amish. I don't know. All right.
Yeah, which I really like. It's a cool idea. Like the Young Lion thing is a really cool and unique, or at least unique to me, thing in wrestling. So I enjoyed that. But those guys are going to be there. So I was excited to watch just the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. But I just wish there was more storyline to this pay-per-view. The guys wrestling are great. I knew the matches would be entertaining, but there was nothing. The Bullet Club didn't come out and attack Lethal after the match. Like, there was no interaction with them. Really? Like that's the whole point of your program right now.
Especially
so,
if you'd been watching it, Adam Cole, actually, there's a clip on like one of the television episodes. I think the one this is last week that they aired. And he says, like, a lot of people are asking me, will I interfere in the main event? He's like, no, I'm going to let that go down and I'm going to pick up the scraps afterwards. And I'm like, okay, so a heel just said he's not going to interfere. So he's obviously going to interfere, right? No, and he was a man of his word? I don't.
And even if you want to let him, and even if he's a man of his word and doesn't interfere during the match, after the match, nothing, you're going to let them shake hands and be all lovey-dovey? Great. Come out there and attack them. The Bullet Club match, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, but was it really short? Because to me, it seemed kind of quick.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that long. You know,
Yeah.
I'm kind of, it really felt like, hey, we need to make sure, because I felt like a better booking decision may have been to have Cole just face off against Moose and then have the tag teams go off against each other, right? And in this scenario, maybe I'm just burnt out by 6-man tag matches, but it just feels like, oh, we need to get these 6 guys on the card. Let's put them all together. And it just, I know they're the Bullet Club, but Moose and War Machine with their really lame, like, Legion of Doom attempt. Did you not feel like that Moose kind of came off like Ahmed Johnson coming off with the Legion of Doom elbow pads? I mean,
now that you mention it, yes. But I didn't even think, because he comes out with the helmet, so to me they were just like shoulder pads. But I didn't mind that. I like, we've talked about it before. I like War Machine and Ring of Honor because they're the opposite of everything else they have. I really like Moose, and the fact that he's not long in Ring of Honor kind of make his matches to me like, yeah, whatever. He's gone. He's going. I'm gonna be watching him on NXT in a month. So, it's just like, all right, whatever. Let's get this over with. But I still enjoy it, and it was cool to watch the quickness and the agility versus the power and strength. That's always an interesting style. I was hoping, it was a showcase for the Bullet Club as it always is. And I completely agree with you, especially because I watch New Japan, and every time New Japan is on, it's a 6-man tag or something like that. So I've seen it a million times, and it's always entertaining. The Bucks are great, but we got to start doing something else there. We got to get a little more creative with how we're booking this stuff. But that just goes into another one of the reasons why I was hesitant to really care. It was a good show, but what came out of it? I understand you want to do your tapings on your main stuff on the TV so people watch it, but that's why you buy the pay-per-view, to like set up that stuff for TV. So even if you just have something backstage where they walk past the Lethal and look at him, or something, just give me something of continue. Like I was just reading like something online that was talking about the angle, and I was like, oh yeah, this continues off their May Global Wars pay-per-view, and I was just like, yeah, we're continuing from the May Global Wars pay-per-view when we just had an entire month and another pay-per-view in between. How does that make sense? Like if Lethal and Briscoe were having beef or interacting or something this whole time to make this match,
well, they kind of were. They were. If you've been watching if you've been watching the TV a little bit more, like things have been happening where, like, say, the Bullet Club came out during a match with the Bullet Club came out to attack Lethal during like a regular match,
and Briscoe came out to save him and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
And then
but that was what, the last month?
There was a 6-man tag, and then Lethal. Wait, it was Lethal, Roderick Strong, and the Briscoes versus Adam Cole.
Yeah, when it was like Ring of Honor. Yeah. Like this stuff I remember. But
he got caught. Jay Lethal took a super kick that saved Briscoe and then allowed the Ring of Honor side to win the match. So I mean, they've been kind of doing some. I mean, they've been kind of slowly turning Jay Lethal a little face and showing that he has like respect for Jay Briscoe. You know, it's been
yes. All right, I get it. So maybe you wanted to give it time to, like, the Colt Cabana stuff started it, the Briscoe stuff,
yeah.
you know, was like cementing it, and then the Bullet Club stuff is gonna really cement it. But I don't know. It just I wasn't interested in watching it because there was no way Jay Briscoe was winning the belt.
Well, that
And
yeah.
you know, like,
Oh, I got tricked.
did I think?
Though. I got tricked by his promo because he said something like that he's only challenged for the belt twice, and both times he's won. And I was like, huh.
Yeah, so that's always good.
But I don't know why I got. Well, good job, Jay Briscoe. You legit kind of got me to believe that you could have won for like half a second.
And I mean, like, I really like Jay Briscoe. I enjoy his promos and his craziness. I enjoy his work in the ring. And, you know, when he hit the lethal injection and then the Jay Driller, I was like, yeah. But,
yeah, that was pretty
you know, I didn't really believe it. Like, if he wouldn't have kicked out, I would have been stunned, you know. But, so, again, it was a good match. And I knew it was going to be a good night of wrestling. So I enjoyed watching it. But there was nothing that made me want to watch the TV the next week or made me want to continue watching. It was just, okay, here's our pay-per-view. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day. It could have just been a one-off. You know, like,
okay, yeah.
I don't know. Like, the ROH used to have so much continuity and just so much clear-cut storylines, and now they're I feel like they're trying to balance between three different worlds almost. Like, all right, we have this stuff when the New Japan guys come in, we have this stuff for TV, and then we have this stuff for the pay-per-views and the live events. And that, you know, if you watch everything in a whole, maybe it makes it a lot easier, but no one has access to everything as a whole unless you're buying the ringside shit.
Which I will tell you that even with all of that, this pay-per-view was, maybe because I've been watching so much of the VOD and the ringside membership stuff, I think I was even more excited for stuff to happen. All right, like for example, the Motor City Machine Guns, they've really been building for weeks, almost months, right? That they're back together, they're winning big matches. I thought it was weird that the Addiction beat War Machine for the titles randomly on those, like, there was the 3 nights, I think it was the beginning of June. The War Machine defended against Briscoes, and then ended
in
up
like a 4-way or something.
Yeah, there was like, they ended up losing it after defending it like twice, and then getting like, they defended it.
They defended it on Global Wars pay-per-view, and then they lost it in the TV tapings or whatever the next week. Yeah. Because I remember reading, like, you know, ROH was going to push the Addiction and all that kind of stuff. And I enjoy the hell out of the Addiction.
Oh, they're great.
Completely fine with that.
But it just, I felt, my idea was that Machine Guns were going to win the titles, and the Addiction were just kind of carrying it. They were the transition heel champion, right? And it was building towards that, and it was like, you know, the Addiction kept getting away with stuff and being sneaky, and then they just beat the Motor City Machine Guns.
And then the big reveal or the big, like, the big angle is that Tamagotchi joins them. Are you kidding me? So now we can all raise our pets to live. Come on. Great. Yeah. Now I get to watch this guy who I've literally never seen or heard of with red hair. Now he's involved in. Yeah. Okay. That doesn't make me care anymore about it, but all right.
All red everything, baby.
Yeah, I guess him and Eva Marie should definitely get together.
Although, you know what, I'm okay with guys coming over to Ring of Honor from, you know, after the New Lines and then staying.
Absolutely.
So, like, I've been watching him on the VOD. He's really good. He's got some.
Okay, see, I didn't know, like, he's been on house shows and stuff. But so if you're watching that, great. But
I still don't care that this was like, what?
Yeah.
But you know, whatever.
They have to, like, stay a little bit longer for you to really accept that they're gonna stay, you know. So Jay White, I like. I've watched enough of him in New Japan to really enjoy. But I don't know. Strange.
I mean, I think what upset me the most from that pay-per-view was Silas Young versus ACH. Now, granted, I'm a huge Silas Young mark. But if you last couple of weeks, they've been going back and forth about how ACH isn't a real man because he plays video games and he likes anime and he likes superheroes.
Yeah. This was the first match? All right, because we might as well just like start running through the card.
It was actually the second match. The first match of the night was O'Reilly versus Kamatachi, which was, I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean,
as always.
Oh yeah, big question of who was going to win this.
Yeah, I mean, great. It's the same thing that happens a lot of times, and I actually probably can say about this match what I think about the entire night. Great wrestling. You didn't have to see it. Like if you don't see this event, you're gonna be fine.
Which was exactly my thought process going into this show. When I looked at the card, okay, this will be cool, and not even just great wrestling, but there was no Nakamura Balor. There was was no match that you were like, oh shit, I gotta see this. But anyway, yeah. So so we start off with that, and O'Reilly gets the win. Yeah, great. I like O'Reilly, but he's got to do something.
Exactly.
And Kamatachi, great. Yeah, okay, good introduction for people like me who this was his first time seeing him, but he could afford anyone. O'Reilly could have been used. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, this guy must be ill. But then when he came out with his red hair, I was like, wait a minute, this is a waste of O'Reilly.
So if it was blue hair, would it have been better, or is it
if it was like normal hair?
Okay, normal hair.
And he was a serious looking dude, then maybe I would have been more into it. But as soon as I saw that, not that makes him a joke, but I just knew he wasn't beating O'Reilly.
Okay.
And I knew he wasn't like that beast level of Japanese guy, where he was going to be able to get the victory. So, yeah, great. O'Reilly wins. And then we move into your most anticipated match.
Silas Young versus ACH. I mean, I can't get enough of Silas Young. And for weeks and weeks, they were building this up. Silas is basically, in many ways, I don't even like ACH that much. Like, I've never felt he has much of a personality. Then suddenly in this angle, I start liking him just because of Silas's work. Silas is like, real men don't play video games, and real men don't like superheroes and read comic books, and real men don't watch cartoons.
Yeah, so everything you do in your life.
He's literally attacking me. And here's the crazy thing. I still love him. Like, it almost made me go like, wow, you're such a good heel that you're attacking the things that make me me. Like, so he's even talking about how like ACH is, Silas Young's son was coloring the ROH coloring book. And he was coloring the ACH page. And then Silas tells him, that he's not really a man. And apparently his son closed the book and stopped coloring it. All right. Which is just ridiculous. So they've been going back and forth with all this stuff. Now, because this is their first real match, I felt, okay, this is a good angle. This could go on. So have Silas do something, because Silas has been like attacking him from behind, right? So, the whole idea is that Silas is the one who's really not acting like a real man because he's taking shortcuts. So geniusly, I would have him cheat to win and then have ACH be real angry. Like, you say you're a real man, but look what you did during our match. No. ACH wins.
And not even
clean.
and not even exactly. Not even does Silas not get the cheat to win. Doesn't even get like the fluke win. No, he hits him with his finish, hits the 450, 1, 2, 3.
And he doesn't even attack him afterwards.
Wow.
Nothing happens.
I get it. Silas is an enhancement talent, but come on. Like, ACH is he can afford to lose, like, especially this can be a storyline. Maybe Silas gets mad and he goes crazy, and I don't know. Did anything happen on TV? I didn't see anything about it, but
no.
I don't know.
No, and the fact that you just said Silas is an enhancement talent. Wow, that I feel like I just got punched in the solar plexus. Like there's no more wind in my stomach. I can't.
The realization hit you. Like, oh wow, he's right.
maybe that's the problem. Like I just love. Like I think this guy should be the top heel in the company.
But that's the thing. Like he's that perfect mid card guy. Like he's Rick Martel. He's Rick Rude. He's that guy. He's just always gonna get that reaction. He's always gonna get the baby faces a big pop. He's always gonna make them look better. And then they move on from it. Look at Castle in the feud, and then boom, now he's on to the TV title feud.
Oh, well.
Which I believe we can get to next.
Oh. So he doesn't win.
I knew there was no way that Bobby Fish was losing a month after he won it.
Why? Why though? Why?
Because he was just on like a 7-year quest to get the TV title. He wasn't going to lose it after he'd been chasing Lethal the whole time. Now he's been going through this shit with Ishii and Roddy. So
I think I'm too close to the product right now. I think that the guys that I really like, and I completely believe that they're going to win.
Maybe because you've been watching 7 Ring of Honor episodes a week, you feel like there's a year and a half in between this last month.
I know
really not.
I know these men.
Like, you've seen Bobby Fish as the TV champion in 42 matches, but he's only been the champ for 12 days. So that's the issue.
Well, because okay, hold on. But we were talking about the Morrison Machine Guns versus the Addiction, right? And the fact that they lost. And again, other than the Kamitachi stuff, nothing really comes out of it, right? The next night, they were scheduled to face the number 1 contenders, who ended up being Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser. Now,
Yeah.
I postulated before the event, well, if you have heels as the match the next night, it makes sense to have the Morrison Machine Guns beat the Addiction, and then quick title defense against heels the next night, right? No. Instead, you just end up having the Addiction versus Silas and the Beer City Bruiser as 2 heel teams going off against each other.
They didn't add the Young Bucks to that match?
Not that I know of, no.
I thought I read something that said that. But yeah, I mean, whatever. I think I told you this before. Like, it didn't really matter because it was just going to be a one-off match anyway, not a feud. So who really? And if they were anywhere near that Midwest area, maybe Silas and the Bruiser would get a good pop and be a little bit of a babyface team. But
North Carolina, by the way.
Nope, not gonna work. But I don't know. I didn't feel the Machine Guns were going to win that match either. Like, it's too soon. It just, I don't know.
Okay.
This pay-per-view didn't feel the need to be a pay-per-view.
No.
And usually that's not the case with Ring of Honor, which is why it's been throwing me off for the past year, because I'm trained to Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Oh, okay, something dope. But not the case anymore.
Are you ready to discuss the worst part of pay-per-view? The only thing that they decided that, hey, we should continue this.
Make wrestling great again?
Oh, well, See, here, I'm actually talking about a match, but let's talk about that. So they decide to do now we have the cabinet with Caprice Coleman.
Which I like. I like that addition. I like that group. They could be a fun group.
Yeah. But they decided that they want to run this promo on the pay-per-view right before the main event, which ended up allowing the main event to only go for 13 minutes. The rematch of, they are saying the biggest rematch in Ring of Honor history, and 1 year later goes 13 minutes between Lethal and Briscoe? 13 minutes. 13 minutes. Because you gave All Night Express and Caprice Coleman time to just nonsense talk.
A lot of time.
Nonsense. It was nonsense. I'm sorry. I'm just. It was. I wrote like a live review or live coverage as it was going on, and somebody afterwards was like, did you like any of it? And I was like, yeah, I like the wrestling. The wrestling's really good, and if I was there, it's different. I mean, I also and I've read on other sites. I thought it was just me. They've been miking the crowd in an odd way, where you see people like popping and jumping up and getting crazy, but it comes off like they're dead. Like it's silent in the arena. I don't know. So that's also adding to it for me. Like it's weird when I'm watching a match and I am seeing no, I'm hearing no reaction. I mean, take a note, take a page out of WWE's book and pipe some stuff in, but
please don't. I literally can't watch SmackDown because of that. But it's a good show, but it didn't have to cost me $35, and it didn't have to be the best in the world pay-per-view. If this was a Tuesday night Ring of Honor TV show or the house show, whatever, a live event, it would have been great. It very easily could have been that. And exactly what you just said, the main event was 13 minutes. And that's not a Ring of Honor world title pay-per-view main event. That doesn't happen. You're selling me this match as basically the entire card. And you're selling me, oh, this is the rematch from last year where they fought at the best in the world. And now you say they've been interacting a little bit and they're using him to turn lethal, all of this stuff. And then it's just a quick little main event, a little back and forth. They hit each other's finisher, and that was it. Yeah, great. But now what? That's where I was like, oh, okay, someone's got it. Like, I was sitting watching with EJ, and like when they were shaking hands, I out loud I was like, all right, let's go, come out and fuck them up, please, because that was too mushy. Let's go, Bullet Club. That's what you do. It is shit on these fun times. So that's I was just left like, come on. Two or three straight pay-per-views, like, ugh.
What did you? So now I've been a little biased about this feud, so I want to ask you before I say anything. Carino versus Whitmer. What did you think of the match? What did you think of the result? I don't know.
I mean, I enjoyed the match, but whatever. Like, it's two guys who one is an announcer and one is BJ Whitmer, and what is he gonna ever really do now in Ring of Honor besides be that low card enhancement guy? Kevin Sullivan coming in was, I guess, cool. What the fuck was he wearing? I don't really understand. But it was an okay match. I really dislike seeing people bleed so much, especially guys like Steve Carino, who, I mean, I'm sure maybe he has done some little indie shows over the course of the past few years when he's, transitioned to being the announcer. But I know he just had neck surgery and he had another surgery before that. So to see that guy busted open and bleeding like crazy, I don't need to see that.
Yeah. Okay. I have been watching just copious amounts. I can't stand anything about these two anymore. It's been like 3 years, it feels like, of...
Well, but that's because Carino got hurt in between.
Yeah, but then this has been so long. There have been so many times that BJ just comes out and for like 4 minutes, nothing happens other than he gets booed and he tells people to shut up. He's like, yeah, you fat ass in the front row, shut up. And then somebody runs out. I mean, he faced this guy, Mike Sells, and he destroyed him. He faced Colby, and in a really odd, on a build up to the pay-per-view, Colby comes out, he beats him, obviously like stopping the pin count and everything, and then after the pinfall, leaves the ring. That's it. Oh, I beat you. It's over. And I'm just like, I think that he would go further, especially because during those tapings, they were being very honest about the fact that Carino was in Japan with Kevin Kelly. And that's why Vita Scott and Ian Riccaboni or something were on commentary. So then it should have, I just can't take this feud anymore. I thought it was over. I was like, this is this is the blow off. Unsanctioned fight without honor. It's finally going to end. I never have to hear these two talk about this stuff anymore. And then Kevin Sullivan comes out. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to continue this feud. It's not going to end.
Yeah, but why? I mean, I could easily see it going either way, but why does that necessarily, do you think there's more? Because like the whole build up, they were both seeing Kevin Sullivan, and he was appearing in all of their promos and whatever. And then he chose a side, and it was Whitmer. So, like, is there another match, or is that just, you know?
That's what I understand.
He
what
took me
what
out.
do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, that was it, you know? And for me, thinking that was it, I kind of enjoyed it because, like you said, this has been building for a couple of years, and these two guys killed each other, you know, to end this thing. And then Kevin Sullivan came out and whatever, hit him with the spike. Yeah, great. Yeah, I didn't really care. But I enjoyed it up until that point.
I was happy
You know?
that it was just going to be the end, and then it wasn't. And that's why I think I was just frustrated. I've watched too many episodes where with the precious TV time they had, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being very negative about these two. Because I don't know what I mean, at this point, does Carino stay in commentary? I mean, everybody knows he's Mr. Wrestling number 3. Yeah, I just don't, you know.
Is he?
Okay. All right. So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I used to enjoy Nigel McGuinness on commentary, but now I did it. Like, I missed having Steve Carino there.
Nigel's okay. He's slightly heelish sometimes. I like. He kind of goes a little heel sometimes, but
he just has that British dry humor that is just like, you know, he just keeps it real.
I mean, I like him. I've heard Vita Scott's not bad, but obviously I kind of enjoy her on commentary. I feel like Kevin Kelly has to always be there though. So like when it was her and Ian Riccaboni, I was like, oh, it's just they fall into some weird stuff. Like Ian Riccaboni goes back to talking, you know, I forgot who it was, Jay Briscoe, I think, headbutted Moose, and he's like, oh, I don't know if you want to headbutt this guy because, you know, he's historically got a really hard head, and I'm just like, man, it's 2016. Like, this idea of somebody else having a harder head than somebody, like, no, stop with this. Like, it's just, it makes it silly. I heard Vita Scott say that Caprice Coleman is like a legend in independent wrestling, and I was like, really? I don't know.
Yeah,
they just fall into some stuff, and I'm nitpicking because I'm with when you have two new commentators, I'm really listening to what they're saying. You know, so this is like, to be fair, one comment out of a whole night that I found to be an issue.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And maybe with Kevin Kelly, I probably ignore some of that stuff and let it go. You know, so I just might be a little kind of negative, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and it happens when you watch it a lot and you're basically like, you know, you remember the bad stuff. Like, you don't remember that 95% of it was okay. But yeah, especially when it's the new guys. But yeah, I mean,
all right.
It was a good night of wrestling and really nothing else. To go out of your way to see nothing that really built on any storylines, nothing changed, everything stayed the same. It was just a typical night of wrestling.
Yeah, and going forward, they're going to have, this weekend, it'll be available now. They have the Fight TV app, which is like Raw.
Yeah, I saw that. I downloaded it immediately.
Yeah, it's nice because then so starting tomorrow at 7 o'clock, depending when you're listening. So starting Monday, June 27th at 7 p.m., you can start to watch the product that they air on Sinclair Broadcasting on Saturday nights. So this week is going to be kind of cool, but also frustrating. It's a full episode dedicated to the Women of Honor.
Oh, okay. So that I won't be watching.
Well, here's the what I'm trying to say, because when you watch the VODs, I've seen the results for the card where the Women of Honor wrestle before the show starts, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if it's just VOD and you're not why don't you have that match with the women on your VOD? There's no reason to keep it hidden and then release a only women's hour of wrestling.
Well, but that's why, because that's what they do.
But they shouldn't do that. They should incorporate it. They're actually pretty good. I enjoy watching it. And I don't understand why do it this way, you know, because I think that some people are going to be really excited about this episode, and some people are going to feel like, oh, here's a definite week for me to skip.
Yeah.
You know, and
they've always, like, it's always been that way, like, always, you know, and it's nothing new. It's just they don't really ever have them overlap. Like, I think once or twice or whatever, they had Sarah Del Rey wrestling someone. I think one of the actually shows that we went to, she wrestled. But yeah, I mean, that's just how they do it. They always keep it separate, and I don't know why, but I don't know that I mind it either, because if you like watching it, then you're gonna watch it anyway.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, it's nice to dedicate have their own show, and that's cool. They're not the backstory on the men's show. They're their own show. So I don't mind that part, you know.
Okay. I understand. I'm actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm actually pretty excited to watch it. So we'll see how it goes. Moving forward, I'm gonna catch you guys up next week on it. And just, I guess, to end our Ring of Honor stuff, I've been so into it that I might be appearing on another podcast this week as a special guest on Podcast of Honor. So
Nice.
take a look at PW Ponderings. We'll be taping sometime this week, I think. So I can then bitch more about Ring of Honor to other people. Be fantastic. All right. So I guess, is there another company that we talk about sometimes?
Oh, TNA. I don't really think anything happened there this week. No.
Let's see. I haven't heard anything. Tier 1 Wrestling is having an event July 10th. No, there's something else. Oh, yeah. WWE. All right.
I wasn't even thinking about them.
I think, yeah. There's coming up some big stuff going on, right? So money.
Yeah. So I mean, we got the announcement of the live draft, July 19th. So it's the first episode of SmackDown, which I always thought was the best move, but you know, we didn't get any more details, so we don't know yet if there's going to be any wrestling, if anything's going to be going on, or if it's just going to be a straight up draft, which I don't necessarily. I'm not against, but then I don't know if you would. Yeah, like, I don't think you would make just a strict draft your first episode, because that wouldn't be the highest ratings you can get, unless it's like a tryout. Like, oh, let's see if this works. Let's see if people watch this like they watch the NBA or NFL draft. You know.
The problem, of course, is that you know, okay, I'd like to do a mock draft before the event.
Oh, and we will.
Okay. It's so difficult. What metric do you use? You know, like, no matter what we say and how intelligently, like, we see what they could add, they could do whatever the hell they want.
No, absolutely.
I mean, somebody could be an idiot and draft the Shining Stars first pick. It's not going to happen. But I'm saying that could happen, you know, like, theoretically. So it makes it crazy.
Even theoretically, I don't think there's a chance of that happening. But it depends on, like, it seems like they're doing. I pick Roman Reigns and I pick Dean Ambrose. That it seems like that's what they're doing, as opposed to the random picks that we used to get.
Okay.
So that leads more towards we're going to actually have some type of hierarchy established here.
I see a lot of people saying that they're going to pick. Like, a lot of people on the internet are talking about, like, Sasha being a number 1 pick, and she's really good, but how could you believe that she would be the first pick?
Like, I get what people are trying to say and do, like, oh, the women are just as equal as the men, and so she could be pick number 1, and, like, yes, maybe that's true. Maybe she's the most talented wrestler in the company, maybe. But they're still not on that level. There's 4 women in the company who matter. You can't take one of them over Seth Rollins, who's going to draw you millions of dollars. Not saying Sasha Banks cannot, but right now that audience is not that big. And I get it. You're trying to get that audience and garner more of the hop on the women train that's rolling through, and great. I'm all for that. That's fine. I want to see Sasha and those women wrestle more. But there's just that's crazy. Like, oh, you're going to take her first overall, and then what? She's going to wrestle Natalya every week? Yeah, great.
So I know who's not going to be taken first overall for sure.
Well, you also don't know that, but continue.
What, you think there's any chance that after being suspended, Roman gets drafted first?
How do you not?
I mean,
like where he gets drafted, it doesn't. Like, it's not like he gets a bigger salary for getting drafted more. Like, you know,
but that's
it literally doesn't matter. But
they're going to be promoting him. That would be like if the New York Mets had a player that was really good at one point and they loved, but then now, you know, beats his wife.
He beat his wife,
you know,
yeah.
and then he got suspended and released because he beats his wife. Then the Mets would re-sign him. Like he doesn't do that kind of stuff. That wouldn't happen.
Or, in my opinion, even more damaging if they would sign someone who literally said "fuck you" to the fans and walked out of his last game ever on their team,
so that he could win the batting title and not lose it,
and then go to a division rival. Right? Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely
never
or draft him number 1 overall.
The Mets would never do that.
Back to Roman Reigns. I get what you're saying, but how do you address it then in the draft? What, does he not get drafted? Like, that's impossible. How do you acknowledge? I get it, he's suspended. How do you acknowledge that quote unquote top guy in the company is not in the top 3 picks? Like, can you justify that?
I don't know what's going to happen because he can't be on the show. I mean, I guess they could just show the graphic.
Yeah, he can't be on the show, but yeah, they could just. I don't know. I don't know because they didn't write him off in any way. They didn't. So if they wrote him off, they could at least say like, "Oh, he's hurt, so I draft Roman Reigns." But
they needed some time. Like, they didn't say anything Tuesday. I mean, I still believe that we were talking about it when it happened right away. I still believe that they knew Sunday night.
Yeah, I believe that.
You know, and they did it so that he can still be in the match. But Monday's going to really determine. I mean, I know that most of what we do here is analysis or possible like predictions. But I feel like I can't even give you an answer until I see Monday night. Like, depending on what they say about him Monday night, then his inclusion in the draft will be different.
And what's also really like strange and new to me, like usually when something like this happens, and maybe it's because it's Roman Reigns, I don't know, but usually when someone is suspended or something like that, like I'll tell the kids and they'll be like, "Oh, what? Like, oh, he's suspended." But this time, me and like, "Oh, Roman Reigns is suspended. Did you see that?" And like they all knew.
Yeah.
So usually that's not the case. Like, they're in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. They're not following WrestleZone and PW Insider or PW Ponderings. Last Word. They're not following those. So, Roman Reigns tweeting it maybe made them pay attention or see it. But it's big news. You know, usually the kids aren't aware of that kind of stuff, the real backstage stuff. So that was interesting to me, and that kind of made me like, well, what are they going to do? Because like the kids know that why he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what the wellness policy was, but they knew that he was suspended. So what do you do? I don't know.
I hope it's something crazy. I just feel like this proves he can't be the face of the company going forward.
No, he's got to be a heel. But you can. Do you think he knowingly took steroids?
Well,
I still don't know.
I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking. They went like really deep into the wellness policy stuff, and it's crazy. But it's like, even if you've been prescribed it by your doctor, but like you forgot to, let's say like your prescription ran out, like small. You can get a wellness policy violation for things that don't even mean that you took steroids. It could be like that something that you've been taking because your doctor was okay with, like that would happen with Ambrose, right?
No,
like,
yeah. Well, like when I said, like I didn't mean distinctly steroids, like some substance. Do you think he knowingly took it? Because,
I think it might have been.
He said he was sorry, and he said he what?
He owned it. Yeah, I think it might have been.
Like he owned it. but I cannot picture this guy knowingly breaking the wellness spot like that. That's pure stupidity.
Yeah, I don't think it's something like that. I think it might have been. I mean, there was apparently Hornswoggle said that when his first
Yeah.
suspension was that he didn't get like the urine to them in time or something.
Yeah, he couldn't pee.
I don't know. Like, but you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm wondering if it's something that we'll never find out, but it's just some kind of, what's it called, procedural thing that he didn't follow, or I don't know. I don't. He's big enough as it is. I don't see him.
Yeah,
just,
exactly. Like that's what I don't think he knowingly did something to break the
somebody
wellness
who's
policy.
5'6" and 155 pounds, depending on the week and what I've been eating, it infuriates me to think that Roman Reigns is taking steroids to get bigger. Like if I find that out, I'm just no. I'm gonna carry signs to every event and just boo the crap out of him. Like no way, man. Like you're big enough as it is. Just knock it off.
Yeah, so I think we're in agreement. Like he definitely did realize, or maybe he just whatever, like you said, slipped up somewhere along the lines in reporting something, or maybe he got a prescription and didn't tell WWE or something like that.
I wish he would reveal it. I actually wish he would come out and say. I feel like that would make me respect him a little bit more if he actually came out and was like, okay.
Well, but I think that's what he did, saying, "I'm sorry, I own it. This one's on me." Blah blah blah.
Okay, but what did you do though? Because that changes it. But if he smoked a blunt, I'm okay. All right.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
He's not going to do that because there's kids who pay attention to him, so he can't. He's not to say what he did.
Listen, buddy.
Kids are like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, let me go find out what that is and does." So you can't do that.
Listen, kids, all right? It's not my fault, all right? It wasn't like good weed. It wasn't bad weed. It was the weed, guys, and I had to smoke it. Like, that would be the best promo ever. So do you think that's why? Okay, so if he doesn't get this violation, does he lose the title to Seth, or does he lose it to Dean? Or did that play out exactly the way it was going to play out no matter what last Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that he was getting a wellness suspension, and I said Rollins and then Ambrose. So to me, that was the logical way to do things. But
I just despise those short
and
names.
I think I do believe that they mentioned at least 5 times on Raw, like, oh, they've all had it in the span of 2 minutes, which is exactly what I said they were going to do.
It's just I hate that stuff.
But but this time I don't mind it because this is the Shield, and literally, like, it feels like yesterday when you tell me it was 5 years, it's crazy. But
yeah.
These are the 3 guys that we watched on pay-per-view come out of nowhere and like not really struggled, but we're like, wait, who the fuck? And then identified, and then he pushed them the right way. They dominated for 2 years. They won all the belts that they could. And then Rollins turned on them. They went their separate ways. Rollins and Ambrose had a feud. Reigns and Rollins had a feud. Reigns and Ambrose had a couple matches. And now we're back summing it all up. So I'm fine with anything they do with this because it's amazing. And I don't mind them rushing this out because you never know. They were going to do this at WrestleMania and Rollins got hurt. What if they're going to do it at the next one and someone else gets hurt or someone, so why wait?
Okay.
I get it. Let's do it while we got it and let's roll with it. So, all right, fine. But, this Roman Reigns stuff throws a little hinge in it, but I don't mind them, pointing out how cool or how these 3 guys are still so intertwined. I think that's really cool because it hasn't happened in forever.
I just gotta get over the title switch. I mean, it was crazy when I heard something like when I heard that Jay Lethal only had the title for like only have been a champion twice, and that he'd be the only Ring of Honor person to ever hold a title 3 times. I was like,
Jay Briscoe, you mean?
Yeah, Jay Briscoe. I'm sorry. It warmed my heart. I was like, that's what I kind of like to hear. And then you have now a trivia question where, like, how long did Seth Rollins' second title reign last? I feel like the hot potato stuff bothers me.
But that's the difference between Raw and independent wrestling. You know, like
Yeah.
there are a lot different things that go into being the champion in a corporate company than being the champion in Ring of Honor. And yes, I like that fact, but the fact that I hear it on NXT every other week really has numbed me to it a little bit, because it's always, oh my God, the Revival are 2-time champs, or Sami Zayn gunning to be a 2-time champ, or Finn Balor gunning to be a 2-time champ, and nobody wins it. It doesn't happen yet. So, like, just stop selling me on that. I get it.
Okay.
Everyone is trying to become a 2-time champ. But, you know, like, it's the same thing in Ring of Honor. Like, when Aries won it his second time, it was nuts.
Yeah.
Because no one does that. So I like that. It is cool, but it's a lot easier done, you know, in Ring of Honor than it is when you have 200 guys gunning for that one title that you kind of need to put on a lot of people.
Fair. All right, so what else? Then we have kind of a new developments with the Divas. I guess it's the right. You have Natty turned on Becky during the event, which I was kind of surprised about. So now, I guess you need more heels because you're going to split the roster.
I guess they need more. They need more women's wrestlers. Is what they need. Like, forget about heels and baby faces. Where the fuck is anyone? It's the same 3 and 4 people every week. When it was the 9 divas, it was the same 3 women being focused on. Now it's the same 4 women being focused on. Now we get Sasha back. Who's gonna? All right, yeah, great. Dana Brooke is a sidekick. Becky and Natty are gonna have their feud. Becky is clearly gonna end up going over. And then what the hell does Natalya do? She feuds with all the other women on the roster that no one cares about yet. In the draft, they have to bring up at least 3 or 4 women. At least.
Yeah.
Bayley, probably Nia Jax, maybe Asuka, Carmella.
Whoa. Well, I guess if you're going to leave NXT, NXT is going to be different. Right? They're not. It's not really developmental. That's crazy. Because they've had Deonna Purrazzo on the show. Who else have they had? I'm trying to think of some randoms. Like, what I'm just trying to say is, who they're gonna, if they draft all of the women from NXT up, then who do you populate NXT with? Do you just not have?
Well, then you have Alexa Bliss, and then you have the Deonna Purrazzos, or the whoever else is. You know, then you build them up.
Okay, I can see that happening.
It's like a not necessarily start from scratch, but it's a restart for a bit of NXT, depending on how drastically the roster changes.
Then we have Kevin. Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn on Raw had that kind of brawling, I'm going to kill you, moving forward type stuff.
Yeah, and great. They cut promos saying this is the end of life and I'm never going to see you again, and then Sami Zayn gets a cheap win and Kevin Owens beats the crap out of him. So
wait, what?
What are we?
What are you talking about? A cheap win? That was,
Sami Zayn gets a win, and then
a win is a win.
Kevin Owens beats him up. So we're not anywhere near the end of this, and like, are we going to get one match at Battleground that's going to settle the score, and then we're going to get drafted to different shows, because that's the only way this ends for the time being.
As local independent wrestler Maxwell Jacob Feinstein once said during a short interview I had with him, a win is a win, my friend. You think that's just going to be the end of this? Like, they're just going to pull them apart and hold off on it?
It has to be. Like, as much as it makes sense, and as much as I want to see them on the same show, I don't know if the same show is big enough for both of them. Like, they're going to kill each other, and then how are they ever going to just, I'm going to go feud with him, you go feud with him now? How are they ever going to do that? They have to be on separate shows, and then
one day
at a WrestleMania when you oh my God, Raw vs. SmackDown, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, this is crazy. Then it's even bigger. you know, when they're on separate shows and they cement their own spots on that show, and then you have two big guys coming. I don't know. You know, this feud is never ending. This will go on forever until they are both retired. Probably their last match will be against each other. But, you know, we're in for the long haul with this one. Like, we've been watching it for 10 years already.
Yeah, no, it's,
You know?
I'm
You know what I
worried
mean?
that Sammy doesn't have.
Nah, I think he's there. Like, he
With us, he
had
is, but I mean, like, is he there with
no.
everybody
Here,
else? You know?
he had a great match after getting injured with John Cena. He earned the face that runs this place. He earned his respect. So that's all you need.
Okay.
Then he has Rollins and Ambrose and Owens and Cesaro and all of those guys that he's been killing it with for the past 20 years and has been killing it with since he came up. I think he'll be all right. There's a spot for Sami Zayn, guaranteed. Right. And if not, then he'll be El Generico and there'll be a spot for him. So, you know, either way, there's a spot for Zayn.
Don't do that to me. Don't mention
I'm just saying.
All right,
because at some point it's got to happen. At some point it has to.
He's a generic Mexican wrestler. There's nothing better, and his name is El Generico. I can't.
At some point, something has to come of it, you know. But we'll get there in due time. So I think we get one more last man standing, 2 out of 3 falls, some type of blow off, and then separate shows. And then we'll revisit it, you know, in due time in a more meaningful spot.
What else happened on Raw? Anything other really big things that are important, or I'm trying to think?
No. The Bullet Club had a good promo angle.
Bray.
Yeah.
With a New Day. Oh, I thought you were going to be excited about this.
I was excited to see them back. Then there was no Luke Harper, and that got me less excited. And then they had this thing with the New Day that, is he making Xavier Woods levitate? Like what? I don't.
Because it's like Xavier Woods is being
mind controlled.
Yeah, you know, it's like he's drawn to Bray, you know, kind of type thing. I don't know. I thought the way that Xavier Woods sold that was kind of funny, like this idea that
it was funny, but are the Wyatts funny? That's, you know, like.
But I mean, Xavier Woods is making fun of him. No, he's not actually happening. They're just like.
But yes, I get all that. But you just brought these guys back, who are supposed to be 3 monsters.
Oh, okay.
And then they're involved in comedy stuff. That's not, you know, that's not what they should be used for right now.
Well, see, the problem is because New Day's face, right? Because if New Day were just heels and they were making fun of them, then it's different. Now you have faces making fun of them, and it comes off as odd, I think.
No, I mean, like, I don't think it has to do with heel or face. I just think it's you're getting made fun of, or your gimmick is being cheapened when you just came back and you had a chance to refresh that gimmick and make it more dark or make it more serious or whatever the case. And then as soon as they come back, they're treated like a joke. It was weird to see the New Day come out and I don't want to watch that tag team match. I don't even want to watch that 6-man match. I was perfectly fine with the tag team scenario we had going on.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. Are you excited for a Wyatt's and New Day match without Luke Harper? Like, if it was Luke Harper, that's different for me. Athletic, he can fly around with those guys.
I have to be honest with you. And this is not. I don't know if I really like the Wyatts.
Yeah, because after 4 years, you've been told, and we've all been told that they suck. They've never beaten anyone when it matters. They always get turned into the joke. They're always not as serious as they need to be. And over time, you develop that. It's happened to me. It's happened with Dolph Ziggler. It is happening with the Wyatts. You can't tell me a guy doesn't mean anything for so long. I love Dolph Ziggler from when he was walking around the backstage saying, "Hi, I'm Dolph Ziggler," and just extending his hand. I was like, "Oh, that's great. That's hilarious." And then he was gone, and then came back, and I've loved that guy forever. And now I do not care when he wrestles. You've treated him like he's nothing, and you've told me that he doesn't matter. So I believe that he doesn't matter. Like no amount of fanfare for someone can overcome years of bad booking. It's eventually that's the truth, you know. If what I'm watching on TV every week and dedicating so much time to, if I'm watching basketball and I love Paul Pierce, and all of a sudden Paul Pierce is missing shots and can't play defense and is getting subbed out on every big possession, then I'm going to say Paul Pierce is not very good anymore. And that's what they're doing with Bray Wyatt, you know? If this was a real sport, why would I believe anything about Bray Wyatt? The whole this match doesn't matter because I have a bigger plan. That was okay at the beginning, but it's been 4 years and there is no bigger plan. So what the fuck?
When you're right, you're right.
It's unfortunate, man. I hate that I am right because I would so much rather enjoy watching these guys, but I don't. Do something. Make the big guys turn on Bray. Make Bray a babyface. Something has to be changed. Something has to happen.
I'm completely in agreement with her. I hope they do something. I mean, we'll see what happens and of course, I mean, I feel like every conversation that we have now after the draft has been announced is the same thing that I'm going to say, but I just want the draft. I just want to get there. Like it's hard to even think about what's going to happen when that's such a altering event.
It's been the same thing since the last, before Money in the Bank. It's okay. We know what's coming. Just get us there because nothing really matters up until that point. Yes, this stuff going on, like Money in the Bank was a great card. Execution, not so much. But these matches, these stories are good. I really enjoy them. But after the draft, everything is going to change. So, it's like, okay, this is the final pay-per-view before everything gets crazy.
And then, there's is there anything else on Raw or anything big? I guess that's really...
No, I guess I just realized that we didn't have a show after Money in the Bank, right? Like we haven't talked about Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Well, so and we don't have to get into it because everyone knows what happened. But I really, from the opening tag team match, it was really sloppy and there was a lot of miscues.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I really hope this isn't going to set the tone for the night, but I don't see how it's not. Like it started off with a bad taste. And then to me, they didn't really, the Money in the Bank match was good, but it was literally the exact same match that I've been watching for the past 2 months. Like a lot of the sequences were exactly the same. Yes, they tried to do some innovative stuff with the ladders, but when it came down to the core execution, it was stuff we've seen over and over and over again. And so it was tough for them to get out of that hole. And I just felt like it was a sloppy show, and it didn't really hit like I expected it to. You're going to build this up as bigger than WrestleMania. It better deliver, and it didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was frustrated with the fact that I thought that Owens was going to win the Money in the Bank, and overall, I just wasn't. Kind of took me out. I mean, truth be told, I watched the event later after I got home. I was at a Red Bulls game, so it was kind of like a weird. I don't know. It was a weird. I always watch the pay-per-views live. I almost never watch them, delayed. And as much as I tried to avoid stuff, I think I accidentally clicked on something, and I saw that Ambrose had won the title. So it also took me out of it viewing wise, because I feel like Money in the Bank is such it's predicated, your enjoyment is predicated upon the surprise of the,
Yeah,
so
and then
once the
you
surprise is
didn't get
spoiled,
that.
like, ugh, and I also felt like I don't like being right. I realized,
You don't like when it's predictable.
that's what I mean. Yeah. Like when
Yeah.
I almost picked Owens because I was like, well, it's so predictable that Ambrose would
But
win.
but you see, like sometimes the predictable choice is the right choice. Like
It's best for
that's
business.
where I'm okay with certain things. Like Dean Ambrose winning Money in the Bank and cashing in, I think was the right choice. People didn't really, and especially if you had this whole thing on the back burner, then that's another reason. But you don't want to put it right back on Rollins. Why not give Ambrose the shot and put him in this feud and see what he has and see what you have with him, and then you go from there.
All right.
Like Owens is great with the title, but he doesn't need one at the moment. And Ambrose kind of did, because he was just kind of treading water. He's probably one of the most over guys in the company. Well, definitely one of, if not the most over guy in the company, and good. He should have the belt, and he should get a chance to shine and be the champion. And I'm excited to see it. I said it Sunday, and then I think the Monday after when I was talking to someone, like when he won the belt, it felt like when Stone Cold won the belt, because
Okay,
it was
yeah.
like, what the hell is going to happen? Like, this guy is the champion. Like, he's wearing a wife beater and jeans. Like, what's going on? It just felt outside the box, and I like that. I like that feeling, and I was excited as hell to see Raw.
All right. I'm trying to think. I think that's, well, you have the.
I mean, that
We didn't talk about Rusev. I mean, I really like what they're doing with him. Don't like Titus, but I think it'll be good together. I never thought I'd like Rusev.
but is I love Rusev. Like, I've liked Rusev from jump.
Yeah, you did.
Like,
I didn't.
at the beginning.
Shocked.
At the beginning, I really didn't, and then it's like, yo, this guy is legitimately making me hate him. Like, I like that, So that's where I was like, oh man, he's dope. So I enjoy, and I love seeing them rebuild him as this monster and dominating. But I loved him calling Titus O'Neil's kid stupid, his father's a loser, and all that kind of stuff. That was great. But now is Titus Young not gonna avenge that? Like, he said he doesn't care about the title, so you could always make it a non-title match and he beats him. But Titus O'Neil can't be the U.S. champ. Let Rusev hold this. Let it keep going. But they put themselves in a little bit of a corner.
Yeah, I don't know how you move forward from it.
Well,
If you're not going to do a title switch,
they put that caveat in on Monday when Titus O'Neil was saying, like, I don't even care about the title. I just want revenge. So you can use that. Like, he's so worked up, he didn't even care about that he didn't win the title. And then he can have his rematch for the title, and Rusev can cheat him out of it. So you can do that. But I just don't want to see the end result be Titus O'Neil with the belt, because it wouldn't make any sense.
Never.
Well, I wouldn't say never, but right now it wouldn't make. I like Titus O'Neil. You don't like Titus O'Neil?
No, I'm good. I don't need.
I like
CM Parks.
See, I guess I'm that old school kind of, where, like, I like seeing the big guys because they're believable. And
Okay.
I can believe that Titus O'Neil is a good champion and people can't beat him. Like, I don't mind that. But he had a good personality until he got suspended, and since he's come back, he's been on mute.
See,
he's got to fix that.
Because I actually like Darren Young better.
I've always liked, I'm in complete agreement with you on that. I like Darren Young better.
Yeah.
but and that's because he looked exactly like John Cena, which just endeared him to us from Jump Street. But you know, he's enjoyable, man. Like, they're enjoyable. They were a good tag team. They were an enjoyable tag team. I wouldn't be against seeing them as a tag team, but give them some time, give them each a chance to be something bigger. But in the end, if it doesn't work, I'm perfectly fine with them being the primetime players.
I will. God, I forget. Like every once in a while, I remember how much I really, because it got to a point where I don't think that I thought that he was John Cena. Like I thought he was John Cena. Like, I was convinced. I really thought it was. I'm looking at pictures right now where they're doing like they have like split screens, and their faces almost like line up perfectly symmetrically. Like,
yep, it's crazy,
man. And I was so waiting for that real reveal for like that to actually happen. Yeah, man.
Now he's just boys with Bob Backlund.
It's crazy. Like I'm seeing these. You have to see these pictures. It's.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of them. Like we've been looking at them forever. But you know, did you get to watch the podcast?
The AJ podcast? No, I'm gonna have to catch up. I'm swimming in Ring of Honor so much that I just didn't have a chance to catch the podcast. Is it good?
This one I actually, I stayed up and watched it after Raw. I really enjoyed it. You know, it was cool hearing AJ and Austin have a conversation because that's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it was good. I always feel like Austin doesn't really know anything. He's when he's talking to someone who's not from his era or big from WWE, I always feel like he doesn't really know shit. You know, because he always says like, "Oh, I looked you up on the YouTube and I was doing this and I watched a lot of your stuff." So that it's good that he does his homework. But AJ, I feel like he actually kind of knew a little bit of.
Yeah.
And so that helped, and that built off of it. And then when he did his homework and he spoke to Kurt Angle and he did this, then it made those things seem not so like, hey, I'm doing an interview. What can you tell me about this guy? You know, it just seemed a little more natural. So it was enjoyable. It was cool to hear AJ's story. They talked about TNA. They talked about Daniels and Kaz and all those stuff. So it was cool.
All right, take a look at it. I heard it was pretty good. I mean, I think that Austin does. You know, Austin isn't just a wrestler who podcasts. He became somebody who does his homework and really, you know. I think.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, he really try. You know, he researches.
He does his homework, but he presents it as he did his homework instead of.
I should know this. Okay.
Knew that. You know what I mean? Like just putting on a front that. You actually watched this guy wrestle before instead of, hey, I spent the last 2 hours watching you on YouTube, and I love your matches.
Like, hey, I've never heard about you before. You've been around for 15 years, but I just read about you on
It happens. Exactly. And it happens a couple of times where he's like, oh, like I was watching your highlights and they have like, you know, the top moves and that Styles Clash. How did you come up with like, you know, so he does it a couple times where he sells himself out, but it's okay. It's enjoyable. He's stone cold. He's got a lot of stuff going on. Maybe he can't spend 24 hours a day following independent wrestling. I get it, but you know,
I just love this.
It was a good podcast.
I love the idea that a retired wrestler who's made millions of dollars doesn't have enough time to watch wrestling so that he can talk about it. Like he's got to catch up.
But he has a show and a broken skull wrench and all that.
He's got a wrench. He's got a wrench. Oh, did you hear? This just. Well, I just heard this by the way as we're taping. There's been announced that Will Ospreay is going to face Vader.
Yeah.
It's kind of so. Was Vader working the whole time?
No, there's no way. But I think now it's just. Hey, this makes sense. How about we do it? You know what I mean? Like, I think it worked out for Vader, but I don't think that was anywhere near his actual intention.
All right. I don't know if you hear. There's a very exciting episode of Bubble Guppies going on, so I think we're gonna have to start wrapping up this episode this week.
Yeah, I know how much you love your Bubble Guppies, so
I can't resist
I'll let you go watch it.
because I have to watch Bubble Guppies, and then we're gonna go outside. Outside, come on, everybody, outside. All right, yeah. Maybe 3 people who listen to this show know exactly what just happened, but nobody else does, and I sound like a jackass. And
if 3 people know what you were just talking about, and it is not due to you having a newborn child, then just stop listening to this podcast. Unfollow us on social media at Rich Laconi. Don't follow us at Last Word on Sports or PW Ponderings. Don't follow us on iTunes. Don't like or subscribe on SoundCloud or iTunes or Stitcher or anywhere else you listen to your podcast. Just stop. Okay?
You just did the ending for us. That's fantastic. All right. I guess the only thing that's left for me to say, I feel like displaced, is that this is the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, that you've listened to that is just too sweet.